It sounds like the beginning of a bad joke, doesn't it? What do you call a family with a golden child and a scapegoat? The punchline: my childhood. From as far back as I can remember, there was always a clear divide in our house. There was my brother, Mark, and then there was me. It wasn't something my mom ever said out loud, but her actions spoke volumes, louder than any words ever could. Mark was the sun, and I was just a planet orbiting in his glow, constantly reminded that my light wasn't as bright. It started with small things. If Mark broke a vase, it was an accident, a simple boys will be boys moment. If I so much as spilled a glass of water, it was carelessness, a lecture on being more responsible. His report cards, filled with average grades, were celebrated as trying his best. My straight A's were met with a nod and a simple, "That's nice, honey." I tried so hard to win her approval, to earn just a fraction of the praise she showered on him. I joined the debate team, became captain of the soccer team, volunteered on weekends. Each achievement felt like a desperate plea. See me, am I good enough now? But it never was. The family photo albums were the most painful proof. Page after page of Mark's toothy grin, Mark at his first baseball game, Mark blowing out birthday candles, Mark holding up a trophy he got just for participating. My appearances were sporadic, often blurry in the background, an afterthought. It was like I was a ghost in my own family history. Our relatives even picked up on it. At family gatherings, they'd flock to Mark, ruffling his hair and slipping him cash, while I'd get a polite, "Oh, you've gotten so tall." I learned to make myself small, to retreat into books and my own imagination, creating worlds where I was the hero, where I was loved unconditionally. As we grew older, the disparity became more pronounced and, frankly, more damaging. When Mark got into trouble with the law for some minor shoplifting as a teen, my parents hired the best lawyer they could afford. My mom cried for days, worried sick about his future. When I won a statewide scholarship to a prestigious university, my mom's first reaction wasn't pride, it was concern. "But what about Mark?" she asked, her voice laced with anxiety. "Who will be here to look after him? You know he needs the support." The implication was clear. My success was an inconvenience. My dreams were secondary to my brother's needs. That was the first time I truly felt the cold, hard reality of my position. I wasn't her daughter. I was a built-in support system for her son. I went to college anyway, hoping the distance would mend things, or at least give me space to breathe. For a while, it worked. I thrived. I made friends who celebrated my successes, who saw me for who I was, not for who I was in relation to my brother. The phone calls home were strained. They were always about Mark. Did I know he was struggling to find a job? Did I know he was having a hard time with his girlfriend? Could I send some money home to help him out? It was never, "How are your classes? Are you happy?" The breaking point, the moment the fragile thread holding us together finally snapped, came a few years after I graduated. I had landed a great job in a city hours away. I was building a life for myself, a life I was proud of. I was even engaged to a wonderful man who loved me for me. My fiancé David and I had been saving diligently for a down payment on a small house. It was our dream. We had a specific house in mind, a cute little starter home with a garden. We'd saved nearly every penny. One afternoon, I got a frantic call from my mom. Mark had gotten himself into serious financial trouble. He'd made some bad investments, racked up a huge amount of debt, and was on the verge of losing his apartment. The number she mentioned was staggering. It was almost the exact amount David and I had saved for our down payment. And then she said the words that would echo in my mind for years to come. "Honey, you have to help. You've always been the responsible one. You have savings. Mark has nothing. He's your brother." I was speechless. I tried to explain. "Mom, that's my house fund. David and I have been working so hard for this. It's our future." Her response was cold, sharp. "A house, you can always buy a house. Your brother could be on the street. Is a house more important than your family?" The manipulation, the guilt, it was a tidal wave. But this time I didn't drown. I felt something else. Anger. A deep righteous anger that had been simmering for 20-something years. "Why is it always my responsibility, Mom?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Why do I always have to be the one to sacrifice? What has he ever sacrificed for me? What have you ever sacrificed for me?" The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. And then, she said it. The sentence that severed the final tie. "Because he needs me more. He's always needed me more. You were always strong enough on your own." It wasn't a compliment. It was an excuse, an admission that because I was capable, I was undeserving of her care, her protection, her love. My strength wasn't something to be proud of. It was a justification for her neglect. In that moment, I understood I would never be enough. My success would only ever be a resource for her to pull from to fix my brother's failures. I took a deep breath. "No," I said, my voice clearer and firmer than it had ever been with her. "No, Mom, I won't do it." I told her I loved her, but I couldn't set myself on fire to keep my brother warm anymore. I couldn't sacrifice my future for someone who had never shown an ounce of concern for mine. I told her I needed a break, that I couldn't do this anymore. The conversation ended with her crying, calling me selfish and ungrateful. Every word was a dagger, but I knew, with a certainty that settled deep in my bones, that I was doing the right thing. Walking away from my family was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. There were days filled with guilt and nights spent crying, wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. I mourned the mother I wished I'd had, the family I deserved. But with time, the guilt began to fade, replaced by a profound sense of peace. I put the down payment on that house with David. We planted a garden. I built a new family, a chosen family of friends who cherished me, a husband who adored me. I learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up, who supports you, and who loves you without condition. My mother chose my brother, and it hurt more than words can say. But in doing so, she gave me an unintended gift, the freedom to choose myself. And for that I am finally, truly grateful. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It's not an easy one to tell, but if it resonates with even one person out there who has ever felt invisible, then it's worth it. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. It means the world to me. See you in the next one.